Jesus has my back.
Yeah.
Finally, we can uncensored talk about our devout Christian beliefs.
No, we had to do an exorcism because we've been trying to record this episode for so long that we had to exorcise the demons, and we all converted. Us 3 Jewish boys converted recently, and we're here to talk to you about it.
And Jesus Christ has my back. Does
Yeah.
he have yours? That's my question for you, audience member. Instead of got milk, it's got Christ.
God Christ. Wow.
That's an ad campaign, you know? Remember that?
So
Christian
most people
ad
would
at the
think
Super
that like
Bowl?
maybe our viewership would drop if we just kept talking about Jesus, but I'd like to believe that all of a sudden we look at this episode and it's like skyrocket. Like, well,
Yeah, I
this
bet
is
it
like
will.
what our niche is, you know?
Do
a
you
bunch
guys
of-
think the Got Christ ad campaign would be like, you know how it's just like the bottom half of someone's face with a little milk mustache? I wonder if this would be like the bottom half of someone's face, but it's like a milk Jesus beard.
Or it'd be the top half of their face and the little Ash Wednesday cross, you know?
Ooh.
Or their hands.
Walk me through that.
What a hand! Yeah, what a
They have
hands
a
have to-
nail through them.
And they're bleeding milk.
No. They've been crucified. Or they're...
Welcome to the
bleeding
Tough Cut
crucifixion.
Podcast.
I missed
Hello
you
and
guys.
welcome
I
back.
missed you guys so much.
We're the Tough Cut Podcast. I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jakers.
And this is...
I was drinking water. I missed it. Jakers.
Well, we can fix it in post. This is-
Jakers kind of sounds like you're like gargling on water anyway. You know what I mean? Jakers. Jonas. I can't wait till I pitch the giver in a bracket. You guys are not prepared.
Before we get there, this is episode 97, part 1 of our Oscars bracket.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. We do this every year.
We've been talking about this bracket for months, and we're finally getting to episode 1. The
hey,
Oscars are what, next week?
Just like the Oscars, they talk about it for months. Why can't we?
Exactly.
Which, if you want to know, guys, what we think will win, we got a little cheeky bonus episode where we told you exactly who we think are going to win.
Yeah.
And if memory serves, we have a pretty good
Track record.
So
Yeah. But, so go listen to that episode if you want to talk about the actual stinky Oscars. But if you want to talk about the third most important award show in all of Hollywood, that is the Tough Cut Podcast Oscar bracket. Coming at you in today's episode, we've got Everything Everywhere All at Once versus Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Then in the back half of the episode, we've got Marcel the She with Shoes On versus Banshees of Inisherin. So it should be a lot of fun.
yeah. I'm so excited. I mean, like, look, this is one of my like favorite times of the year for the Tough Cut podcast because I love forcing my friends to talk about the movies of like last year. And they like, I love forcing my friends to talk about movies, but like part of what this was starting this podcast was me being like, can someone please care about my opinions about this small little animated movie that no one saw? Please, can someone please? So I'm very excited, and I'm willing to get right into it. I can introduce our first movie.
Go for it.
But I will say beforehand, spoiler warning, we will be spoiling these movies. And they literally came out last year, so if you don't want them spoiled, we do encourage you to watch. These are like what we feel are like Oscar-nominated movies. So on top of the spoilers as well, we like to throw out content warnings because we do encourage you to watch along, especially these ones because they came out so recently. If you're going to watch Banshees of Inisherin, there is depictions or spoken implications of self-harm and sexual assault. So if you're particularly sensitive to that, we encourage you to, you can skip that one if you want. That's totally fine. Or prepare yourself how you would prepare yourself in everyday life. But without further ado, I'm ready to introduce the first movie, guys, if you're ready.
Go for it.
Please do.
Okay. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, directed by the Daniels, as they so call themselves. It is a story about Evelyn, who is our main protagonist, as she is filled with overwhelming life. She has taxes due. She has like her daughter, and she doesn't approve of her daughter's wave, and it's a strain in their relationship. And her husband, they're like out of love, and what do you do with that? And they own this laundromat that could be failing. all these things all at once combines into what happens, multiversal story. It's the multiverse. So basically these realities come crashing down, and she has to tap into her multiple Evelyns, what could have been, and kind of rebuild her family and her life and save the universe. And that's really scratching the surface. Look, usually for an Oscar bracket, I try to pick films that didn't get nominated, or at least didn't get nominated in a lot of categories that I feel should have. Or, there's a lot of movies that get nominated and like no one talks about them because like no one saw them and they're like, why do we care about this movie? And I love to be like, I'll tell you why. For this one, it's getting a lot of love. I'll just say it right now. This episode will come out before the Oscars happen. I do think it will win Best Picture. I'm hoping it does. If it doesn't, it's going to win a slew of awards, at least the leading actor. Like, it's going to win a lot. And some people are like, oh, well, then why did, you boost it up on this podcast? I still think that this film, no matter how much people are talking about it, is so important to talk about. I think that it is such a fun, original movie that's up and people are talking about it. It's a front runner for such a big category, and it's so exciting. I was like, haven't been this excited about a movie that's caught like the zeitgeist of people since like Parasite. And I'm just excited about it. It tells so many great stories about immigrant story. Like, it's so wacky. It's so like stupid. It's so funny. And I just think this kind of genre of film existing is such a beautiful thing, and showcasing that original films are still beautiful, baby, and can really impact a lot of people's lives. So no matter what, I wanted to talk about it. So that's my pitch. I'm also very excited because these two didn't see it before. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to hear what you guys think. Matthew, take it away.
So this was a movie when it came out, was essentially immediately met with a barrage of recommendations from basically everyone who saw it. Was like, I think you'd really like this. And it turns out I really liked it.
Hell yeah. Oh, Jesus. I'm so scared. I'm so scared every time.
Yeah, it is a particular brand of kind of off the wall that I think you don't typically see get a lot of love from Hollywood, which is part of the reason it is so awesome that it has gotten so much love. It's a great movie. It is a ton of fun. Like, it's like one part like action movie with like deep veins of like kung fu action movie specifically.
Yeah, they did their choreography, dude.
Yeah, exactly. A huge piece comedy, and then a huge piece like touching like family character study-ish sort of thing. I enjoyed this a lot. How about you, Alex?
Oh, thank God. All right, one of two. Let's go.
Jake, no need to worry. I loved it right off the bat. This movie is stunning in so many different ways. It brings so much to the table, like Matt mentioned, and like you mentioned earlier. Like, it's a movie, kind of like a cheeky, interesting sci-fi concept that like normally is kind of shunned by the Academy in Hollywood, and so it's like very nice to see it get so much attention and so much love. On top of a diverse cast that we don't typically see. Like, so many incredible things about this movie. So many great names, so many unknown names. It's great to see Key back in a movie after, everyone probably remembers him as being was the character's name? Short Round in Temple of Doom, which is absolutely wild. This is a phenomenal movie. Great pick. I remember when it first came out, like Matt, you specifically, Jake, were like, you need to see this movie. And I was like, he'll put it in a bracket eventually. And lo and behold, you did. And here we are.
He did say the bracket he was going to put it in would be the Oscars bracket for this year.
I said it like as soon as I saw it. I was like, guys, I will be putting it.
He's like, I've got an Oscars lock.
I've called it.
And here we are, basically an entire year later. From that Oscars lock. And
because Wild, it came out like almost a year ago, which that's another slog. Like, usually films that get released around this time do not get talked about in the Oscar contention. This is kind of a dead zone.
Which I think, not to get into it too much, but I think one of the things that's been really interesting is it started to it like obviously goes through the middle portion of the year, and a lot of the buzz naturally kind of falls off any film that's released first half, which makes it an uphill battle to award season.
Yeah.
I think what was really interesting is like once it was like reintroduced to the zeitgeist and started to like roll a couple of award shows and really build up some momentum, it is like back on everyone's plate, maybe even more so than it was when it like was first released. That also could be by the nature of being a movie podcaster.
Yeah, that's very true.
I'm like more connected to that side of the zeitgeist than the average person.
No, my favorite tweet about this movie that I've ever seen is from a Letterboxd user, and like it was a screenshot of it, and they were like, love this movie until film Twitter tells you to hate it. And that was a year ago. And then a couple like, months ago, people were like now picking it apart. It's like, oh, what's wrong with the Oscar picks of like whatever, blah, blah, blah. And people just kept replying with the image of that Letterboxd review. And it was really, really good. And I loved revisiting this movie. I've seen it now, I think 5 times, like 3 times in theaters, and, once for this podcast and once just because I wanted serotonin. And yeah, I just love it. So that's my pick. But it's up really against something. So let's pitch it.
It sure is. It's up against Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, released in 2022, directed by Rian Johnson. This is a Netflix one that they put in theaters for like a week, and Jake and I saw it in theaters together during that week, which is crazy.
That gets a lot of points, dude. That gets a lot.
What a fun, I was in New Orleans visiting my family, texted Jake like, hey, want to meet up? And he was like, hey, want to go see a movie? And I was like, Knives Out?
I haven't seen a movie with you guys in years.
I know.
Well, when we go to and do a solder day.
Well, we go to Antarctica where your secret base is.
You guys get to watch Knives Out, or Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery versus you come to my house and then I force you to watch every Saw movie and Spiral.
Honestly, I might get the same feeling. You never know. There's a
That's true. That's true. What is this movie about?
There's a bunch of friends. One of them's a billionaire, and he has a bunch of friends who have become successful in their own industries. He invites them all to his house, and someone dies. And also, Daniel Craig doing a horrible Cajun accent is there as Benoit Blanc, but it's iconic. And then the mystery is turned on its head, and then art burns. I picked this movie because I didn't see that many movies this year.
Terrible opener.
I hate the deja vu I get every time. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I just did this whole eloquent, like, oh, I love talking about movies and forced my friends. I love talking. And God,
Alex, I didn't see that many movies, so I didn't have a lot of options.
I mean, that is true, but I also do think, I do like this movie quite a bit, and I think it's very good. And I think
it's.
I'm getting flashbacks to Jungle Cruise. Like, I just can't.
At least I watched this movie before I picked it.
That was wild.
That was
wild. No, this is a fair inclusion. I think it's just very funny to open your your preamble with that.
I like that they did the whole we're going to release it in theaters, a theatrical release, so that way it can be in contention for the award season, and it's basically not getting any attention, right? Which is sick as hell. Very cool Academy. Star-studded cast. I think great performances all around. Every time I see Dave Bautista in something new, I'm like, wow, wait, this guy's actually a good actor. And it's great.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, I just really enjoyed this. I love a murder mystery. That'd be a fun idea for a bracket, except we're blowing all the good ones.
Bring it back, baby.
There's a lot of murder mysteries.
But yeah, I really had a good time with this one. Thought it's a good one. Sequels don't usually get a lot of attention during the Oscars, so yeah, here we are. Matt, what'd you think about this one?
Yeah, so love the first Knives Out, and Rian Johnson back again, making me want to beat him up because he's so very good at writing murder mysteries. What the hell?
That's the highest compliment Matthew can give. Whenever he's like, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the face. I'm like, oh, he loves me.
I'm gonna hit you in your stomach so hard.
But it's always something very specific. He's like, I'm gonna peel your skin, you bitch.
The way he says it, it's almost like there's a romantic tone to it. It's not like a threat. It's like a promise.
Yeah,
and I can attest to that actually. That 100%.
The sordid evenings we've had together aside, I thought this movie was really fun. I personally think I prefer the original Knives Out a little bit over this one, but I also think that this one is great. Daniel Craig, Benoit Blanc is just... I could watch 1,000 movies with that man.
Good. It's
just
so
solving
funny.
mysteries, tromping his way through things. And I also like that this one sort of, I don't want to say plays with the formula of a traditional murder mystery a little bit, but it is, I think, in a little bit more intentionally subversive.
Yeah.
Which is really, really fun. Overall, this was a very fun movie. Ryan Johnson continues to frustrate me with how good he is at writing whodunits.
The Last Jedi was my favorite whodunit.
Yeah, how did that be so bad?
Who did it? Who made Star Wars bad? Who did it?
I guess he did Knives Out, but then also did Last Jedi, and he also did Looper.
Yeah, we don't talk about Looper. Anyway.
Jake, go ahead. What do you think of this one? I mean, Looper's like a fine movie.
It is a fine movie. I actually just confused it with Jumper, but I actually didn't stand by.
That is the same thought that crossed my head.
And then I was like,
wait a minute. No, Looper's the Bruce Willis one, not the Hayden Christensen one.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk?
Same person,
talk
really,
about Jumper like 3 episodes ago or something?
I don't want to. Guys.
We're 17 minutes in and have barely introduced the second movie.
I mean, again, points for seeing this movie with one of the boys, and I was so happy because, more and more as streaming progresses in our world, they're going to be doing these things where they release a movie in a very small window, especially a smaller movie where they don't think it'll have good box office, but they want to contend it because it could win an Oscar. So this is going to happen a lot, and I'm very glad to catch the movies when I do get to catch them. And this was a great example of it. It was a very fun time. I think I definitely agree with Matthew. The first one I think is the better one, and I think I liked it more. But this was it was just fun. I have my issues with it, but at the same time, like, look, the writing's good. Ryan Johnson's having a fun time. You can tell everyone's having fun. Some performances are really, really good. Some they phone it in, but it still works at the same time. Like, it's, I don't know. So they're just fun movies, and like everyone says, I can watch a million of these fucking Benoit Blanc mysteries. Yeah. Like that is a good thing. It's a good thing. Trying to revitalize a genre of film that is very hard to write well. In the whodunit. So I'm all in on the Knives Out. And it's interesting because, it didn't get too much love in the Oscars, but it's for a best adapted screenplay, which is going to be, that is good for it. I think if you're saying that the writing's consistently good, especially on this sequel, that's good for what it will be. I couldn't really think of another category that I could think of where I probably would have nominated.
I bet it could have been in one of the supporting actor or actress categories at least.
I can maybe see Janelle Monáe, maybe, but I think that supporting actress was a particularly goated
pretty stacked
section.
Year. Having now seen Everything Everywhere, is pretty stacked.
Okay, yeah, you guys get it now. Okay, so when I have to segue, because when we did our Oscar predictions, they still hadn't seen the movie, and I'm just like, I don't know how you guys aren't realizing the fucking gravity of these performances that are so.
That's a good point.
Anyway, but it's just really good. But let's compare them. These are two just off the bat fun movies. And that's so exciting to see. Also, I mean, it's reflective of the Tough Cut. We love having fun most of the time watching these movies, and so we want to applaud fun movies. But I think both of them are fairly successful this year, and I love that film is getting to a place where we don't just nominate the stuffy drama wars or stuff like that, like Oscar baity stuff. We just want to have fun, and I think that's super important, and I like that.
That is one of the most wild things to me about the overwhelming love for Everything Everywhere is it's a very fun but also a very weird movie. The fact that we very well may have a Oscar Best Picture winner where there is a scene where a man takes a statue straight into the rectum.
Yeah, it's the butt plug. It's the butt.
I think that would
auditor of the month.
That would kill a man from 1920, like...
Yeah, 1920 cinema. Orson Welles is somewhere like, oh my god!
turning in his grave, like, literally.
Yeah.
Which is just so wild. So the sentiment of, like, it being a fun year for good movies, or a good year for fun movies, both are true.
Both are true.
I think is a very true statement. In terms of comparing these, I'm trying to think of where a good place to start is. I guess kind of bridging the strong supporting cast that we have in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or even tying into your comment, Jake, on someone phoning it in, because the cast of Glass Onion is very small. So I would be curious who you in particular amongst that supporting cast, or even if you think it's Daniel Craig.
No, okay, but here's the thing. If you watch it, it seems like he is, but he's totally not, because he's playing that character. That character is just always phoning it in.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
like Benoit Blanc is like
when he's like it's like a romper suit with the short legs, and he's like tiptoeing across the path through it's so good.
Yeah,
I would hang out with him.
Yeah. No, I would say the phone-ins for me, I just think Edward Norton is just kind of playing himself, and I think it's kind of I think it's boring casting, honestly. I know people love Edward Norton and like it's like fine or whatever, and I get honestly why they cast him, because he is like kind of an asshole and he could play the Elon Musk type. That's fine. I just think you could have had someone more fun, and I think they would have had a greater time with the role. Like that whole scene at the end, and again, sorry, spoilers, where like, you know, they revealed that he was setting it up. It's Edward Norton, and he's just kind of like, everyone's smashing shit and whatever, and he's just kind of sitting there being an asshole. I feel like you could have way more fun with it. And
are you not you're not a fan of Edward Norton?
It's hard to say. I know he's a good actor sometimes, but then sometimes he just seems like an asshole, and I'm just like, I don't know where to put you. Like, I loved him in Birdman, but then again, he played, you know what,
I watched himself. Birdman 2 nights ago, and he is such an asshole in that movie.
He's such an asshole. Yeah. And it's like, you know, he played like American History X, which is, Jesus Christ, if you haven't seen that movie.
Yeah.
Content warnings galore for that movie. Literally everything in the book for that movie.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just like a little bit too good at those roles, and so I'm like, I don't think I like you. I don't think I could be around you without being called a slur. You know, I don't know. That's the vibe he gives me. I also think Kate Hudson didn't really give like an inspired performance. It's Kate Hudson; she can act. Like,
yeah, I kind of feel that one.
But maybe it was just like she didn't like. There's a lot of characters, so they didn't have as much to do. It's just like you have Dave Bautista having a grand old time, and Janelle Monáe putting in like double time.
True.
Literally. And Daniel Craig's doing great. Even like I liked the assistant to Kate Hudson. I thought she had great feral energy. Shit like that. Whereas in Everything Everywhere, I think every supporting cast like gives like 110, 112%. Like getting Jenny Slate randomly, who's in this bracket twice. Shout out Jenny Slate. She made it literally versus on the other side of today's episode. She randomly comes and gives it. Everyone who did like the butt plug people, like they gave it all. The Rakakuni dude from Glee, he gave it all. Like everyone just gives it all, like so much. And like, yeah. So for me, if you're comparing like the supporting performances, I just think it's very clear that some people are like, this is a big name, and we're in the new Rian Johnson Knives Out, and that's enough. And honestly, it is, because Rian Johnson's good, but I think you could still give more, and that's what Everything Everywhere does. If that makes sense.
I do think that's one of the kind of fascinating things in Everything Everywhere is, I mean, even you mentioned it talking about Glass Onion, Alex. The cast is fairly star-studded. Like, these are very, very large name actors. Not that that's like a value judgment. By comparison, though, Everything Everywhere, outside of really Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis, and I guess technically
like
James
people
Hong to a certain extent.
Yeah, James Hong for sure, and like Jenny Slate is recognizable, but in the smaller scene,
Yeah, I mean, of the like primary supporting cast, like Ke Huy Quan has not been like a terrifically relevant actor in like 20 years, and Stephanie Hsu,
she did Broadway.
Was Be More Chill. Like, I don't know, man. That is.
They literally got like YouTubers to do their fight videos, like old YouTubers who would do fight choreography, and that's how they did like the.
Is that true?
Yes,
That's
it was
cool.
YouTube. I don't remember the channel.
What?
You could look it up, but like it's literally old YouTubers they collaborated with because they did the LMFAO videos, music videos, the Daniels, and they collaborated. Yeah, right, dude. The more you look up about this movie, is like it's a treasure
makes
trove.
Like perfect sense.
It makes sense. It's like
the
energy.
Party Rock Anthem.
Yeah.
I feel like that takes place in the Everything Everywhere All at Once universe.
Yeah, I mean that's but yeah, they would have.
Thanks for the
those
contribution
guys.
there, Alex. Thanks for the probably.
Yeah, it just feels like a treasure trove of people who just genuinely wanted to be there and gave their everything for like a 2-second thing, and love that energy in a film.
Look, I know how I'm voting. I know we haven't talked about these movies very much, but I know which movie I want to talk about more, and it's the one that I'm voting for, and I'm pretty sure that's the one that's going to move on to. So I'm down to like slide right through, get going on our next conversation, because like I already know what I want to do this time.
Damn.
Yeah. Alex always comes in with this shit. Like he always is like, guys, I know what I'm doing. You guys should get your shit together.
I think I know what I'm voting for. I'm pretty sure you guys know what you're voting for too, and I think spoilers.
Yeah.
We're all gonna agree.
Well, I still love talking
about
it.
I mean, Knives Out is a great movie, but...
Damn, the man just came out and said
no,
it.
I mean, Glass Onion's really good. I really, it's a star-studded cast, but I think it's also, like, half really, really famous people, and then half kind of, like, up-and-coming famous people, like Leslie Odom Jr. from... famous from Hamilton is like obviously an upcoming guy. He was in this is the show called Central Park. It's an animated TV show. I think that's him. Dave Bautista I think is like pretty famous, but he's still like kind of up and coming too. Like there's a lot of really good talent in here. It's a great movie. I think a lot of the performances are really phoned in a good way. I think like it does some great stuff with like cinematography, comparing shots to like famous pieces of art.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're so good at like giving you the whole story right away. And like looking back and stuff, it's really interesting the way they shoot it. It's really good.
Amount of signposting that Rian Johnson manages to achieve, essentially telling you exactly what this is going to be, even from like the literal title of the film, like it is the appearance of something which has many layers, but you can see right through. Yeah, of course it's going to be the fucking billionaire. Like, it is wild what that man can achieve in terms of, again, like writing a whodunit. It's, I feel like I cannot understate how incredible it truly is from my perspective. Yeah, no, like I think that Glass Onion is great.
It's so smart. It does so many good things. But at the end of the day, I think there is something so unique and so incredible and something that I just want to keep talking about with Everything Everywhere All at Once. So that's the movie that I'm going to vote for.
I'm not even going to beat around the bush. I'm voting for it as well. Everything Everywhere.
I'm also voting for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
It's just so good. No disrespect to Glass Onion. Really like, I put it in this bracket, but Everything Everywhere All at Once like deserves all the attention that it's getting. And if you haven't seen it yet, please go watch it.
There
are so many good bits. Like the only thing in the movie that we really spoiled was this butt plug moment, which is so small. There were so many good moments in this movie.
Yeah, the butt plug's pretty big. It's pretty big.
Arguably, it's the main piece of an entire fight scene.
It's so good.
With that, Everything Everywhere All at Once advances. Jumping to the other side of the bracket, I'll go ahead and introduce Banshees of Inisherin. Banshees of Inisherin, or I guess the Banshees of Inisherin, technically.
Thank you, Jesus Christ!
Disgusting.
God, do you love cinema? Do you?
No, this is just for the paycheck.
Yeah. We get paid
Paycheck
so
of
much.
0. Released in 2022, directed by Martin McDonough. We've got Jesus. Colin Farrell.
We do have Jesus. We talked about it in the first half of this episode.
Covered in milk.
We've got Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson playing Patrick and Colum. Two lifelong friends that have a sudden and abrupt schism coming from one side. And essentially the film follows the consequences of that decision, poses questions of what it means to live a valuable life with the time that you have. And it is all sort of framed to the backdrop of, or as an allegory for, the Irish Civil War. Is a pretty concise summary of this film.
You did good.
As far as why I put this in the bracket, I love Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. In Bruges is
great movie.
Such a spectacular film, and seeing the two of them sort of returning to a black comedy, it's like, oh yeah, I gotta see that. This movie takes a much more, it's still very, I think, at least in my opinion, very funny, but takes a much more serious tone with most of what it is kind of discussing. It is through and through an Irish film, which is awesome to see. And I think just has a number of incredible performances from its principal cast to its supporting actors as well. And just is like a really deep character study into like the psyche of its lead characters, but then also has like this great allegorical value as well, which is something I just eat up. With that, Jake, what do you think of this one?
Man, oh man, this is actually the matchup I've dreaded the most out of our whole Oscars matchup, because both these movies I like absolutely fell in love with watching them, and it wasn't even like right away for both of them. It was like when I sat with them and I was just like, man, what I just saw like felt really special. But specifically talking about Banshees, the more I sat with this one out of all of the films I watched last year, the more I just was like, I was enamored by how simple everything seemed, in such a like a complex, like beautiful way. Like the script is not fancy at all. It's very straightforward, but the way it is delivered and the way it was told is just like heart-wrenching stuff, and it's everyone's giving their A game. This and Everything Everywhere were the two films where all their core 4 people got nominated for best actor, actors, like supporting. And I think both of them top to bottom deserve it. I could go on and on about certain scenes of this movie that just like broke my heart in such like a beautiful, like great way. It just like such a simple thing that was made so beautifully, and I really love it. I just think there's something about the simplicity of it that really, really got me. And I don't have another word right now. I'm sure I'll figure it out as we continue to talk about it in this matchup. But man, oh man, I just, every time I think about it, it's great.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think of this one?
Honestly, this one was not my favorite. Are
you fecking kidding me?
I think the reason for it is that like the more I watched it, I got in this mindset of like, man, this just feels like a movie made to get Oscar wins. And like, that's just the feel that I got from this movie of like, it's a period piece. It's like set in a foreign country. It's like got a character who's on the autism spectrum. Like it's a small social drama where like not too much really happens in it. Like that's just, and the more I like fell down this spiral of thinking this, I think it just like it got worse and worse, and it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm sure there's tons of stuff that I missed, but like just while I was watching it,
you catch the part with the fingers?
I did catch the part with the fingers. I did catch the part with the fingers.
A lot of people miss that.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those.
Yes, a lot of people miss those, so they just
it just felt like
just want to make sure.
Two white men fighting over nothing. There's some drama there, and then it like ends and nothing really happened. Is kind of what I took away from this movie. And like great performances. Like I love Colin Farrell. I like Brendan Gleeson. Like fantastic performances. I think Carrie Condon did really well, but like she didn't have that much to do. Like they're just, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. this one left a bad taste in my mouth.
It is an unfortunate thing, but also like I can see where you're coming from with some of the things you said. But I really liked it. So.
I think at the end of the day, this one just maybe wasn't for me, whatever. But like, I don't disregard you guys for liking it. You know, it's just maybe not.
You can if you want. I mean,
yeah, you know what? Fuck you. This is a bad.
Yeah. Double down. I like it. I mean, like it.
It's a good movie, right? Like it has weight, but I think like to me, whatever like feeling I got from it just kind of felt like, yeah.
Well, it's up against something else on the other side, and boy, oh boy, am I excited to tell you about it. It's going up against my second pick, which is Marcel the She with Shoes On. This is directed by Dean Fletcher Camp. Came out last year, 2022, and it's a story about Marcel, which is a 1-inch tall shell, living with his grandmother, Connie, the only residents of their town after their neighbor's sudden mysterious disappearance. When discovered by a guest among the clutter of his Airbnb, the short film he posts online brings Marcel millions of passionate fans and a new hope of reuniting with his long-lost family. This is, of course, based on the Marcel the She videos they made before on YouTube, and it got, featured treatment by A24, feature treatment, and it's, a pseudo documentary style. It's animated mixed with like live action. Look, this, I think one of my more like, I don't really see it as a hot take, but it is like a different take is that I genuinely believe this should win Best Animated Feature. I love Del Toro's Pinocchio. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Like the work behind it was fucking insane. Like gorgeous film. Puss in Boots, people loved. Sea Beast, I just watched it recently. Genuinely really good movie. Turning Red, Matthew liked it. So I think that...
True. Thank you for putting the respect on my name. I did like Turning Red a lot.
I just think this is another one where I watched it just because like it just seemed like such a sweet, genuine time, and I wanted to have that time, and I just left it like utterly gut-wrenched. Like, honestly... The reason why for these two movies is because such a simple thing. Like Marcel will say such simple things, but some reason coming from Marcel is just like it just gets me. And it could be me. I could see people watching this and be like, I don't give a fuck about that little shell. But I think it's really adorable, and I think the animation is really simply beautiful. Like I keep bringing up Del Toro's Pinocchio, but it's also because it's stop motion. That they built everything, the sets and all that, and like, it's spectacular. The work is great. But I think the reserved nature of Marcel and how they did their stop motion, I think was really beautiful and speaks to a lot of like indie filmmaking. And, it's a dream of like, if I was making YouTube shorts as a kid and then A24 approached me and was like, we want to make a movie out of your thing. And it was this sweet little message about family and, it just was beautiful. And I really loved every game about it. And I just wanted more people to see it because no one wanted to see it because no one wanted to pay money to watch this essentially elongated YouTube video. I did, and now I made my friends watch it. And now I want to know what Alex thinks.
I thought this movie was really quaint and delightful. Okay. I've been dreading this matchup because I also have...
Oh God, he hates both of them.
This also was not my favorite movie. I've seen the like Marcel the She YouTube videos.
Opens with quaint and delightful.
Okay, so but here's my problem.
I mean, that's how he describes me, and he hates me off air. So,
fair. Sorry, we only do this for the show. That's the only time we get together.
Sorry, my bad.
It's quaint and delightful, and I feel like it gets old. And I really enjoyed like, I don't know, the first 5 minutes of the movie, and
Jesus Christ.
Like almost like you could say the length of a YouTube video.
The length of a YouTube video, and then it just like kept going for another hour and a half. I'm like, it's a good movie. It's got a good message. It's sweet, but for me, it was just like I was just like checking my phone. When's it done? Kind of thing. Like it just kept going.
Can I ask you one clarifying question, Matt, before we ask Matthew? Did you see this with your wife?
No, I watched it alone.
Okay, I think she would have been on my side.
Truth be told, I don't think my wife would have wanted to watch this movie.
Damn it! I just want.
Man tried to swing for the fences.
I did. Hey man, we fight about these movies.
Dean Fleischkamp made this with his ex-wife, so
that's true. Isn't that crazy?
Wild.
Yeah. But
Matthew, what do you think?
I think that this is a delightful little slice of life.
Oh no, they both hated my
But I've been dreading this matchup because I hate that little shell. I'm gonna crunch him with my teeth and suck his insides out like I would a good
Why is
escargot.
Angry Matt just Gilbert Gottfried?
No, I think this is delightful in a positive way. It's a nice little slice of life movie. I feel like it's the perfect movie that like you could just like get cozy in bed and throw on and just be like, yeah, there's just like a little guy vibing up there.
Okay, yeah, you see the vision. Okay, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
But as far as the best animated feature goes, I didn't make my feelings clear, but
yeah, make it clear. You vote for 9/11. You're voting for 9/11. I want to
really
make it
like
very clear.
turning red. You know?
Vote for 9/11. It's fine.
And Del Toro's Pinocchio. But no, I think that this is a good movie. I think it's such a cool opportunity as a creator to be like, hey, I made this little thing, and now it's a real big movie, which is cool. Like that's such a you like I'm sure incredibly unique experience. I obviously don't know a lot about Dean Fleischkamp beyond the fact that he's like a, I don't know.
Just don't look up his tweets from
guy?
2010. No, I'm kidding. I have no idea.
And that he was married to Jenny Slate is about all I know about him.
I mean, so was Chris Evans.
Is that true?
Do a quick Google. I don't know if they were married, but they were together for a while.
No, they weren't married. But
Right.
I'm sure they were together. I'm not too worried about it.
It sounds like you're worried, dude.
Jenny's taken? What the hell, dude?
Okay,
yeah.
well, you know what? Whatever to both of you.
I said I like this movie. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, Matt.
I don't
Matt,
know.
I'm so
I got
glad you're on
immediately
my
defensive.
side for this one.
I got immediately defensive.
What's happening?
I was gonna go. Look. Genuinely, I do believe both these films succeed for me and my viewership because I think they're both very simple movies. That the delivery, like the execution of them, is what puts them over the top. And I think that's a lovely concept for a film if you can get it right. For Banshees, if you don't have that cast, you're done. You're out. It will not succeed in the same way. I guarantee it. For Marcel, if you didn't take your time with your animation team and did the pseudo documentary style, it was all about the style of how they did it, I also don't think it succeeds as well. So I think that these are really great simple ideas that they knew exactly what they needed to make it succeed. And I think that's beautiful and gorgeous. And both these filmmakers clearly knew what they were doing with it. And I just want to applaud that before anything negative is said from here on.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think my favorite thing about Marcel is how it uses the documentary style as a front, so that way you get these little vignettes, and then you can use that, and where normally documentary style is very nitpicky, cutting and pasting to put a message that the documentarian wants to put out, because of the way this film is made, it lets you rather than being a produced image of Marcel's life and everything, in the smaller moments or the secret filming moments, it kind of gives you true, it feels more authentic of what you're getting from the characters and stuff, which is really playing into how quaint and delightful it is, and that's really nice. I think that is done really well, I should say.
You should say. Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you. Appreciate that. What's one nice thing that you want to say, Matthew?
Again, I
don't know. Someone else do a comparison.
The Jake pressing me for nice things to say is making me be like, how much did I like this?
My hole is dug. Oh God, the shovel.
Man has to do man has to do this to himself at least once per bracket.
Once per bracket. I gotta just take my fucking whatever.
So as far as comparisons go, obviously a movie where a man cuts his fingies off because he doesn't want to talk to the guy, his neighbor, anymore, and
then Banshees.
Yeah, and then the movie with or the
Nice.
tiny horse, I guess.
Jenny. Oh. Jenny.
And then Marcel the Shell with shoes on, about a cute little shell, are inherently somewhat hard to compare. But there is this, like, it's weird. I feel like there is like as cozy as Marcel the Shell with Shoes On is, I think there are some elements of like quiet tragedy
Oh my God, yeah.
that the film carries through it. Obviously, like the apparent one is via Marcel himself, and being like, yeah, I don't have my family anymore. But
these
like,
are my shoes.
You know, yeah, I still got,
Little shoes.
Nana, I still got Grandma Shell, and she's taking care of me, and like I feel safe in that. But then also, like, there's this, I don't even know what word to use to describe it, but going on with the fake documentarian, there's also like a weird angle of quiet tragedy as well. Like and right. That is a shared element that I think is so fascinating that, like, on surface level you would never tie these two movies together, but like the idea of dealing with quiet tragedy, I think, permeates both of these pretty heavily.
No, 100%. And I'm actually really glad you brought that up, because I do think Marcel has this hidden, like, just the way they talk about grief, whether it's about like death or about like grief of a loved one, or like stuff that just doesn't work out, or just this loss, is really heavy and apparent a lot of times. And I actually look at two scenes, and these are big spoilers, so for both these movies. So again, if you haven't watched them, which I do encourage, with the content warning added for Banshees, Barry's scene, his monologue with Carrie, where he I forgot the two actual names,
Shoban and Dominic,
Shoban and Dominic, where they're at the sea, and it's after Dominic finally, or after Dominic like kind of said "fuck you" to Podrick, because he was like, "Oh my God, you're not a nice guy. Like, you did something really mean and awful." And he thought the one person was like helping him, and he just got outed for like what, his father abusing him, and he's kind of having nothing to live for because he thought he had Podrick and all this stuff. He goes to Shoban, and he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna shoot my shot. And he shoots a shot, and she, very politely and heartbreakingly says no. And just the monologue that he delivers there, masterclass in acting, in my opinion. Barry like really nails that monologue, and Carrie delivers it right back, like, in a very beautiful, simple way again. And then you find him dead, and it could be that he got murdered, it could be he fell somewhere, it could be whatever. You can read it a bunch of different ways. It's very implied to me that he no longer wanted to continue living.
Yes.
But it was off screen. And yes, we find like his body, whatever. And then you go with Marcel, and I thought Nana, again, another big spoiler, when she passes, and that beautiful thing they do off screen where it's, Marcel recites that poem, or that passage of some book that, they love together. Or it was either Nana or Marcel, with the documentary, and Marcel finally getting her dream and like being on air and doing all that stuff with Nana passing, I thought was just like hauntingly beautiful as well. And it really impacted me. And to successfully portray death and grief in these very small instances, both literally and figuratively, I just thought it was really well handled and really well done, and not like gratuitous, and a really beautiful way to talk about death, whether it's in a very tragic way or in a very like, it was their time way. But does that make sense? Kind of what I'm getting at.
I think like the moment for Marcel that really sticks out to me is when he like uses his marker and colors his shoes black. Like, that's such a small moment, but it like that one hit me in the feels.
Yeah. I think it is pulling a piece of the language you were using earlier, that Banshees is a small movie. I think rings very true. Like, obviously it is big in terms of its allegorical ambition.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It is talking about the Irish Civil War, and especially and specifically through Shoban and Dominic, it's like the people that are hurt by the byproducts of such a conflict, like that, the people closest to you, the families, the innocent, etc. But on like an actual character level, I think that is one of the most powerful scenes in the film. Because, like, again, beyond the allegorical veil here, there is this kindred nature to Shoban and Dominic. Like, they are people in some ways that are just like not meant for the tiny island they live on.
Mm-hmm.
And Dominic just reads that very differently than Chauvin does. And I very much agree with you. I think the movie heavily implies that Dominic kills himself.
Mm-hmm.
Even going as far as like he crafted the hook that they pull him out of the water with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he said he found that hook and like it was the whole thing in the yeah.
And it is again like this idea of like small moments like that to like, not that I'm like refuting you not liking the movie, Alex, but I think it is like bits and pieces are scattered through this film that make it so much more than just like a simple Oscar bait, at least in my opinion. Like it is a thoroughly grounded experience, but it is shockingly well done in all of its bits and pieces of execution, from great performances to like even the writing I think is really, really tight through and through.
Super tight. No, I love the script.
And I also appreciate that there's there are a lot of different ways that you can read the intent of in particular Column's actions. Like, is it truly this aspirational quality of what he wants to spend the rest of his life on? Is it some deep shame within himself that like he will never amount to the musical capabilities he thinks he should, so he uses Patrick as an excuse as a scapegoat to be like, I'm mutilating myself, I can't play and it's your fault, when really he was just never good enough. Like even beyond the allegorical veil, there are still like there's so many possible readings that I think the film goes as far as to justify, and I just think that's really cool. I like this movie a lot.
I think you're really cool.
I think you're cool. Both really cool, and I'm sorry that I don't like this movie very much.
No, it's okay. Would you let Marcel live in your doors?
Yeah, for sure.
No.
Fuck. Whoa.
You're like, I can't take all those modifications he's going to make to my home.
Yeah. No, he's a menace. he's an absolute menace. If I like was renting an Airbnb and my like long-term partner just left me and I like was like going through like a mental crisis and like I needed to film the movie, yeah, that'd be fine. Any other circumstance? I don't know.
Here's something that I think is kind of interesting with these two movies. They're both like, in a very strange way, like little slice of life films. Like we like 100%. In Marcel, we get like, obviously in the documentary style, like all the different ways that like Marcel like is growing, Marcel and her Nana are growing, vegetables or whatever, or how they like get up the furniture, like how they roll around in the little things. And then in Banshees, you get so many scenes of Colin Farrell just like walking around town, like walking to the pub, walking down to Colum's house, like walking to the beach.
God, I want that life.
It's just they're both, I think, they have these like quiet, quaint moments of just like, this is what life is, and I think it's interesting.
No, I think they both make these very simple, and whenever I say that, I mean it in like the best way possible. Just a very simple, like, this is how my life is and this is what I'm like doing about it. And I just think I love that kind of filmmaking. Like I get the broader spectrum and like really reaching across and getting like a big message for like a lot of people who get a message, but sometimes we feel small and it isn't necessarily a bad thing, or sometimes it feels like we are in one space and the only thing that matters is this like one little thing that's happening in the grand scope of the universe. And I love that. That's great.
I think Patrick and Marcel would get along.
Oh yeah.
Oh totally. I don't think Marcel would ever get bored of Patrick.
I feel like where he's at in life is just like, he just wants, like they both just kind of want to hang out. They're both happy where they're at,
Yeah.
They do just want to hang.
I feel like the more we've talked about these two movies, the more I have convinced myself that like they're actually great to compare.
Yeah,
like
I actually do. They are.
And the slice of life energy and the central like mental guiding paradigm for both of their leads is just like, I like where I'm at in life. That's wild.
Yes. Jenny Slate, Jenny the donkey. Let's talk about it.
What the hell?
Let's fucking talk about it. No, I'm telling you, this like I I am so happy that I'm in the camp of I loved both these movies, but I'm also very sad because I genuinely loved both these movies, and I don't know.
We have to part ways.
We got to part ways with one of them, and I don't know.
Well, after our conversation, I know which way I want to vote.
This man, Iron Fist.
I'm
rules
ready.
With an
like
Iron
I
Fist.
know, I make decisions.
You're
and I'm
just
there.
like the Academy. You are just like the Academy.
Hey, he is the audience surrogate here, and you know what the Academy loves to do is please the audience. Am I right,
Yeah, that's
fellas?
why the Disney movie always wins animated picture.
True.
Ain't no way it wins this time.
So I think at the end of the day, I get what you're saying about Banshees having a lot of like little moments that are like really thoughtful details. But for me, those moments don't push hard enough and I don't get enough out of them. Like at the end when he's found pulled out of the lake with the hook, like it's not enough for me. And so I think at the end of the day, I like what I got from Marcel more than Banshees. So I am voting for Marcel.
Your opinion is valid.
Oh my god, his teeth are
he's
chattering right
he's
now. He is
baring his teeth like a mad dog.
You literally, oh god.
I guess I can take it away from here.
Please do.
I'm gonna go ahead and my vote is for Banshees of Inisherin. I think it's such a spectacular movie that I love very much. All you, Jake.
Genuinely, both these films crawled into my brain, and it's an expression I use often when I like talk about movies, because the ones that crawl in there, ooh, I love it when they crawl in there, crawl all in there, yum 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 yum. I don't know where I'm at right now. And maybe that's the reason why I'm actually going to vote Banshees. I'm voting Banshees to move forward, and not often does it happen that there's a 2-1 split and the person who pitched the movie did not vote for their own movie. But look, I love both the movies. If anything, I just wanted to talk about Marcel, and I wanted someone else, like other people, to watch it, and hopefully you audience feel inspired to watch it too, because it genuinely is a really just like, if you just need a sweet, simple time, that is the movie to watch, in my opinion. And I love it, but I think Banshees, there's just something extra there that really, it really tickled a gear inside me, and you know, I want to talk about it more. Maybe between Matthew and I, we can tickle Alex's crevices and unlock
if you
something.
can like tickle down in my nooks and crannies and dig something ethereal out of my soul. Look, I am not opposed to liking Banshees. I just need a reason to.
What a like scathing review. Like what like a like if you were a reviewer, that would hurt me. If you watched a film that I made where it's like, I desperately like, you know, want to like it, like, you know, I would love to like it, just like give me a reason. Any reason. I was like, fuck.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
With that, Banshees of Inisherin advances. It will face off against Everything Everywhere All at Once in our semi-final. However, next week,
Dreading this.
another side of the we've got another side of the bracket with 4 more movies.
This is a more feral half of the bracket, I would say.
Yeah, I don't.
We have Bullet Train versus Morbius.
Fucking nuts.
Which one of you did it? Which one of you did it?
The Whodunit of the Tough Cut
Which one of
podcast
you
for
did
this week is who pitched Morbius?
Who did it? Which one?
It was not me.
Only one of us has seen it, and I know.
Okay,
who's
I
seen
have
it
seen
already.
it, but I saw it after it was decided that it was going to be in the podcast. I did not put this movie in this podcast.
I just have like a bad feeling in my bones, in my jimmies. Like, I just don't know. I don't
Wait
know.
until you see the movie.
Well,
Jesus
Puma
Christ.
Pants says. And then in the second half of that episode, we've got Barbarian versus RRR.
Yo,
which
another
should be
fun ride.
So fun.
Have you guys watched Barbarian yet?
No, not yet.
I am ready to pop off
Oh,
for
God.
Justin Long.
Barbarian is a hell of a time, man.
I'm very excited. Next week should be the fun episode.
I had a blast today.
Yeah, so If you enjoyed today's episode, rate and review the show on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. You can follow us on social media at Tough Cut Pod. We're on all of them. If you liked what you heard, who should they share the episode with?
The smallest friend you have.
Yeah, send it to your smallest friend.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that can be much like the big bracket, small in any number of ways.
Yeah.
Well, I'm getting a lot of reviews sent my way. Nice. You guys get it?
Small in spirit.
Yeah.
Because you're willing to do anything.
Well, okay.
Is that what small in spirit would mean?
I don't know. Well, no. Let him cook. Let him cook.
I'm going to start roasting. So if you guys can figure out who put Morbius in the bracket, please save us, audience.
No, let us know because we will be kicking them off the bracket.
Yeah, whoever it is, we're going to
do a full HR's been contacted.
Yep.
Whoever it is, swear to God, if it's our fucking intern, I would.
No, I was going to say good news for our intern because whichever one of us is kicked off is getting replaced by Jimmy.
Wow. See, you
pretty
can't
fucking convenient for Jimmy.
Can't say that the Tough Cut doesn't have an intern to full-time return rate.
Well, unless they're our scapegoat, we'll see what happens.
That's true.
Fucking Jimmy, I'm on to you, motherfucker. All right, we'll fucking see you next week.
Bye.